All right, guys, this is a cautionary tale. This young man in the picture, his name is Eddy Curry. He was a former NBA number two draft pick. And his story is not an uncommon one. And unfortunately, it's something he went through, but it's definitely something that I think society can start to learn from rather than allow to repeat. Some of it is of his own doing, but other parts of it should definitely have some sort of solution to it. Let me just get into this. So there's an article, and what it says is during an interview for DJ Vlad for Vlad TV 3 years ago, Curry recalled how he ended up paying child support twice because his ex-wife tricked him into believing she was willing to accept a lowered amount from him if he just sent the money directly to her instead of doing it through the authorized channel. Guys, that's a huge mistake right off the bat. And a lot of people, if you don't know, you don't know. But when you are in court and you are made to pay child support, they have an account in which you pay into the state. And it doesn't matter how much money you give the other parent directly, it doesn't count. And there's a reason. The state wants their cut. That's what it comes down to. The state wants their cut. You can have the receipts, you can have everything else. But if you did not give the state their cut, it doesn't count. And you can end up incarcerated for it. So, let's see. Curry said he trusted her because they were childhood sweethearts who had known each other since third grade. But that was not the case. Curry says, I'm getting served with papers for back child support, and I had been giving her money the whole time, said Curry. I would just give her cash. I would send it to her account, but I wasn't paying it through the state like whenever. So they basically went in and said, all right, well, you didn't pay the state of Illinois, so basically you didn't give her nothing. Like I just said. He goes on to say, I'm telling the judge, look, I got documents. These are receipts from cashier's checks. This is over $1 million I've given this girl. Guys, $1 million. And they're like, nah, that was a gift. You didn't give it to the state of Illinois. That was a gift. And he's like, are you serious? So there you have it, guys. I mean, I will say the one thing, if we go back, I believe he said it was his ex-wife. So at least he got married. I will say that. But you still got to be careful who you're having children with. There's just a line that a lot of people will see you as, and clearly she saw him as an easy opportunity to get money. She's probably going to have babies anyway, so if you're going to have a baby, why not have that baby with somebody who can support your lifestyle? Because I don't know how much money he was giving her per month for that $1 million, but what I will say is most children don't need that much. Like the case that you can make would be if a child had some severe disabilities or things like that. But I've always said if a father can pay that much in child support, I would just petition to have my child with me so I can put that money directly in. The other parent shouldn't be just reaping that benefit. But each coupling is different. So it also says Eddy was too young to think about a prenup. Curry was one of the most talented players to enter the NBA straight out of high school. So he was really young. He didn't get a chance to go to college. He didn't get a chance to kind of experience maybe the world before it jumped straight to adulthood and in the business of professional sports. So I could easily see that. If I were just to have been given millions and millions of dollars straight out of high school, I would be in a very similar situation. So I'm not judging him at all when it comes to this. Let's see. As a player, he was 7 feet, very talented, but never played up to his potential, remaining inconsistent. Off the court, his personal life was just as complicated and messy. Back when he was still a high school and senior, Curry married his high school sweetheart, or his childhood sweetheart, Corey Kellogg, after she got pregnant with his first child, Eddy Curry Jr. However, shortly after he was drafted in the NBA, Corey filed for divorce. It doesn't sound uncommon, sadly. But, sometimes people can file for divorce for a lot of different reasons. We don't know everything behind the scenes, but I would say that, and a lot of people might say that looks very convenient, but we don't know everything. Since they did not have a prenuptial agreement, the process dragged on for around 4 years per Eddy and drained his financial resources. It did not help that Corey also fooled him into giving unacceptable payments. And he says, but it is what it is. Like, I feel like I blame myself because, I should have did the right thing and went into court and modified my child support, but I believed her for some reason when she was telling me that it was cool. I know you ain't making 12 million, so just give me 5,000, 6,000, just give me whatever. So that's what I was doing. And yeah, man, she told them people. The judge allowed them to say it was a gift. It was crazy, Curry added. Well, yeah, she got you, man. She got you, but this is where a lot of young players really need to start listening to the older guys. What happens when you got brash young guys, and sometimes, and that can be with or without millions, but they instantly assume that the people who are older than them, they're old, they're out of touch, don't know what they're talking about, won't happen to me, and it happens time and time again. So I don't know if this young man's father was around, if he had uncles, or if he had anybody else who was of value to him when it came to that. Even the coaches or just veteran players. But there's a good chance somebody tried to tell him. So let's move on. Curry did not tell anyone back then because he was embarrassed. Let me just stop there. Men, stop hiding embarrassment. Stop hiding things. Yes, we all have done stupid things. We've all done dumb things. We've all done things that are regrettable. But man, when you hide it, you don't have the ability to have it assisted. You don't have the ability to have somebody point it out for you. Think about having, let's say, just a really bad cut on your leg, and you just put on a pair of pants and just kind of bandage it up. This thing needs attention. If it's not going to close on its own, it's going to become infected. It needs attention, but out of embarrassment because of whatever you did to get it, then you don't tell anybody. It's the same thing. When you have something that is hemorrhaging you, whether it's money, whether it's your emotional status, whether it's blood, you need to get some help. You need to get somebody in front of it that can actually help. So let me move on. While he and Corey were fighting it out in court, Curry admitted that he did not want anyone to know about his plight because he was too ashamed and embarrassed about getting married without a prenup and getting deceived by his ex-wife. So the shame about that and the embarrassment is he probably had heard, don't get married without a prenup. You are young, you're extremely wealthy, and it's a dangerous game that you are playing. But what are you going to tell, and I'm guessing an 18, 19-year-old with millions of his own dollars? That's going to be a hard thing to do if he didn't have in place already somebody in his life that was that he respected enough to listen to. Let's see. I remember telling my agent because I always kept it a secret because I was really embarrassed about it. I felt like such an idiot for letting her do that to me. And I don't want to put it on her because it takes two, Curry continued. Good for him. I assumed I wouldn't be able to just walk away from this because we were friends and I figured she wouldn't try to gouge me. You can't assume. You can't assume. And it's sad when you have the three letters, DTA, don't trust anybody. But when you have that much money, yes, certainly. And, this is where good family members would certainly still be kind of just nosy in his business. Hey, is everything going on? The second you found out that there was a divorce happening, unless he just kept it all a secret, somebody be all over that. Possibly even when they had the baby. Are you sure it's yours? And it's not to diminish who she is. I don't know anything about her, but we know that there's a lot of men, 30% of men that are taking DNA tests or failing them. That's the ones taking it. So it's possible. Let's see. After his divorce from Kellogg, Curry married Patrice Leonard, who starred in the series Basketball Wives LA. And although their union has not been a bed of roses, they have managed to get through adversity and tragedy. The couple has 4 kids, and they celebrated their 20th wedding anniversary last August. How cool is that? Because, the thing is, like, even with the second marriage, whose marriage is always a bed of roses? I think that that's kind of an unfair thing. If you've made it 20 years, you have to have seen ups and downs. You don't generally see anybody who goes through 20 years of anything without some sort of adversity, without some sort of setback, some sort of tragedies and triumphs. and to have four children and for him to still be married, I think that that is a win, regardless if it went smoothly the entire time or not. Now, as far as the ex-wife, okay, you got what you got out of it, and hopefully that has made you a happier person. I guess I don't know. I find it a little disgusting, and there is very much the possibility she didn't know either. Now, I haven't seen anything outside of that, but once you get to court, you really can't go back and just say, hey, he gave it to me and I agreed to it. Like, they're still going to say in most courts, ma'am, it was still a gift. We court ordered the both of you. That's the thing that a lot of times people don't understand. Both parties can get in trouble if court orders are not adhered to. Now, unless one person is just clearly demonstrating a willful misconduct against the court's orders. But in a case like this, it sounded like they were both in cahoots to not go with what the judge had ordered and decreed. Now, the smart thing would have been to do, if she was really about helping him out, would have been to take, I don't know, say they said $10,000 a month. Take 10,000 and give him back four. If you guys wanted to do that, give him back some cash. That way the state recognizes this man paid it. He could have ended up in jail over this. He could have ended up in jail. The person that doesn't have enough money or powerful enough lawyers or a major sports league to back them could have very, very easily ended up in jail. And where that goes is once he's in jail, well, the job that he had that he was paying her that altered amount, that money goes away because now he's incarcerated. And it's dirty that way. The system is dirty that way because you take a man who's trying to pay or trying to do the right thing or at least giving some money, and then you take his ability to earn to pay away. Who does that really affect? I would imagine it affects the child first and foremost. If it's child support, then it affects the child first and foremost when that money goes away. Nobody benefits in that circumstance. And if these men or some men are in their children's lives on a daily basis, they're paying the money and they are in the children's lives on a daily basis, it affects the child psychologically too, emotionally. Where's dad? And young children don't understand, so they may internalize this as dad doesn't love me or what did I do? So I wish the courts did a little bit better with that. I wish the courts would look at something like receipts to recognize if you could really give hard proof that, hey, I went to this Western Union. I dealt with, Jim at the counter all the time. You can see me on the cameras. You can see that these checks went here. You can see that they went into her account. Like, irrefutable evidence should certainly be enough to maybe discount it. Maybe knock off 25%. Say, sir, we recognize that you gave money, so we'll give you 25% discount. But because you went against the court orders, we still have to ensure that we get our cut. That's what it comes down to again. If it was just all fair and equal, then let me back up. If it was all fair and equal, then I've always said that parents should have to collectively split that amount that it costs to raise the child. So you could look at who's ever that child is staying with, look at half of their rent, look at half of the electricity, like break it down. What does it cost for that child to live there? Half of that. And that's what your child support is, not some crazy amount above and beyond. That's how I think it would be fair. But if we're going to a different level of fair, then I also think that you should also just maybe make the case that, again, if the parent who has more money or is earning more, if that's what this comes down to, then just let the child live with that parent. But it's not. It's a systemic thing. It's about putting money into the pockets of people who are not the parents, who really have nothing to do with it, so they're getting money from it. I want to see if I feel like there was a stat on this. Let me see. Percentage states take in child support. I wonder if I entered that right. Yeah, some says it's a percentage of the income model, others flat percentage model. So it just kind of depends, I guess. But I can tell you in my case, I was paying more than I needed to, and this was as the father raising my children every day. This was, and I still got hit, and I made less than my ex. So I can tell you firsthand that it's a dirty business. And there's a lot of guys who, again, if you haven't prepared yourself, I was very fortunate to have had some savings, to have some resources, and to have just the tenacity and the knowledge to know how to at least stake my claim. But a lot of people don't. And so they get taken advantage of, or because they believed this person. Sure, we should want to believe the good in people. We should want to believe that it is not something that they are out to get us. But somebody should have told him, young man, you are a millionaire now. You are very high profile and you have a lot of fame. People are going to come for that. And it could be anybody. And unfortunately it was. And I mean, how safe should, wouldn't you feel safe marrying your childhood sweetheart? I mean, my goodness. So it goes to show. It just goes to show. So I'm going to leave it at that, guys. I'm sure maybe some people disagree on some of my takes, but it just is my considered thought. So I'd love to hear what you guys have to think on the topic. What is your ace up the sleeve advice, comment, experience? Because I'm sure somebody's got advice, just a comment, or like myself, you've got experience. So please leave it in the chat, and maybe something constructive might help the next person who reads the chat as well. So we can have a conversation and go from there. But guys, in the meantime, I hope this finds everybody in your place, pursuit, or beginnings of total health, mind, body, and soul. Peace, love, unity, solidarity. And as always, this is where you probably look at the screen. Subscriptions and videos. So click on a couple and stick around.